caustic, I'm breathing on gas. They're on the smoke, patient we wait to attack. I feel like I've lost it, I see through the gas. Obnoxious, I'm knocking, yeah, I'm taking your bag. I feel like I'm caustic, looting your buddy, your homie still choking on gas. I'm laughing, big in the enemy, hoping they pick up your slack. Yeah, winning now feels like a thing of the past. Your bros are gonna throw up the glass. We take what we want, we leave in the trash. Racking up facts as we move through the map. We're waiting for people to follow my trap. Through the swamps, don't we take what we want. Just be down, living some 50 gang. What we owe, man, through the door, flat line, like you up. Always getting what we want, but it never is enough.
My methods are only controversial to those who lack imagination.
I feel like I'm caustic, I'm breathing on gas. They're on the smoke, patient we wait to attack. I feel like I've lost it, I see through the gas. Obnoxious, I'm knocking, yeah, I'm taking your bag. I feel like I'm caustic, I'm breathing on gas. They're on the smoke, patient we wait to attack. I feel like I've lost it, I see through the gas. Obnoxious, I'm knocking, yeah, I'm taking your bag. I'm throwing out cans, I'm betting you won't. Peacekeeper making you dance, you know I'm the GOAT. Champion squad, every time we go, this legend control. I'm climbing the top, no matter the toll. I climb to the top, no matter the toll. I'm throwing out cans, I'm betting you won't. Peacekeeper making you dance, you know I'm the GOAT. Champion squad, every time that we go, this legend control. I climb to the top, no matter the toll.
Yeah, hey, I climb to the top.
I climb to the top, no matter the toll. Take a look at the scoreboard. I thought that you would do more. I'm giving this my everything. I'm the best that you have ever seen. I'm starting. I'm going in. Where is my team? Nobody slays like I slay. Come on, girl. Nobody slays like I slay. This is my world. Nobody slays like I slay. Come on, girl. Nobody slays like I slay. This is my world. Nobody slays like I slay. Come on, girl. Nobody slays like I slay. This is my world. I'm starting. I'm going Ooh, let the 301 hum, bounce the bullets off your chest to the armor falling off. Oh god, all those gas making you cough, feeling caustic when I drop. Leave your body in a pile, let it rot. Shield cells got a lot, watch you move, you a bot. Watch you fade like a thought, skull town where I bang. Watch your life, watch your drain, never getting off the train, never drop another game, yeah. 301 in my hands, different drop, same plan. To my squad, I'm the man, I'ma win this, no I can't. Sending shots, no spam, accurate, watch them slam, watch them run while they can, make them slump. Give me the loot, take what I want, all of my rounds, light like the sun, yeah I am the one, lighting you up. R301, you're all that I need, you're all that I want. We at the top, act like we scum, taking your life and leaving the crumbs. Do what we want, we get the dub, living that life, yeah R301. I got the size, H-Cog, barrel stabilized, no rock. Standing mag, more shots, standard stock, ready pop. I got the size, H-Cog, barrel stabilized, no rock. Standing mag, more shots, standard stock, ready pop. Ooh, let the 301 hum, bounce the bullets off your chest to the armor falling off. Oh god, all those gas making you cough, feeling caustic when I drop. Leave your body in a pile, let it rot. Shield cells got a lot, watch you move, you a bot. Watch you fade like a thought, skull town where I bang. Watch your life, watch your drain, never getting off the train, never drop another game, yeah. Ooh, let the 301 hum, bounce the bullets off your chest to the armor falling off. Oh god, all those gas making you cough, feeling caustic when I drop. Leave your body in a pile, let it rot. Shield cells got a lot, watch you move, you a bot. Watch you fade like a thought, skull town where I bang. Watch your life, watch your train, never getting off the train, never drop another game, yeah. Ooh, let the 301 hum, bounce the bullets off your chest to the armor falling off. Oh god, all those gas making you cough, feeling caustic when I drop. Leave your body in a pile, let it rot. Shield cells got a lot, watch you move, you a bot. Watch you fade like a thought, skull town where I bang. Watch your life, watch your drain, never getting off the train, never drop another game, yeah. Ooh, let the 301 hum, bounce the bullets off your chest to the armor falling off. Oh god, all those gas making you cough, feeling caustic when I drop. Leave your body in a pile, let it rot. Shield cells got a lot, watch you move, you a bot. Watch you fade like a thought, skull town where I bang. Watch your life, watch your drain, never getting off the train, never drop another game, yeah. I got the size, H-Cog, barrel stabilized, no rock. Standing mag, more shots, standard stock, ready pop. I got the size, H-Cog, barrel stabilized, no rock. Standing mag, more shots, standard stock, ready pop. I got the size, H-Cog, barrel stabilized, no rock. Standing mag, more shots, standard stock, ready pop. I got the size, H-Cog, barrel stabilized, no rock. Standing mag, more shots, standard stock, ready pop. Run up feeling dirty, hit 'em with the 30-30. Drop it with me, that's a 50-50, and ain't never learning. Back to the lobby, got you playing sloppy. Triple take your life away, we the third party. Yeah, we all in, yeah, we mobbing down the hill and they falling. I'm looting up they squad, yeah, they ballin', I'm ballin'. I told you we would get it, yeah, I called it. We keep on queuing up, we just can't get enough. These wins are stacking up, my ops like a lake, yeah, they spotted up. We know when to run, we know when to fry. We turning, we burning, we leaving the odds to die.
Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Series Recap. It's Excedrin Week here at Series E. My name is Yeso, and I'm excited to be joining you once again. We had an action-packed week across Apex Legends and Guilty Gear, as well as Halo Infinite, and we're here to talk about it all today. I've got a couple of great guests joining me on the show to break down all of this awesome stuff we got to see. I'm excited to be here with all of you as always. Do want to remind you folks, of course, it is Excedrin Week, and we did a very special giveaway in partnership with our friends at Excedrin for this week. And if you want to get in on that giveaway still, you do have a last chance to do it. Head over to our Twitter at Esports Arena, and you can get those last minute entries in. But they do close at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. That's a half hour into the show, because we will end the show tonight by announcing the winner of that giveaway. So if you do want to get in on it, again, head over to our Twitter at Esports Arena, get entered in on that. Maybe you could win on the show today. But of course, as I mentioned, we've got a ton of stuff to talk about here today. An action-packed week of Apex Legends that we're going to kick things off with. So let's get into the fun.
And now we're seeing it once again, just like Game 2, slowed down, but Fury
Time and time again, and geez, they think they're winning it. Chances are they're winning it.
It gets thirsted by Zera Tricky as Hakula is going to come around the corner with the spray, and now it's just one player alive over here, and this was...
All right, we are going to talk Apex Legends to start off the show. And joining me today, the connoisseur of all things Apex Legends himself, my friend Jamerson. Welcome back to the show, my friend. How are we feeling today?
Yeah, feeling much better. Got a negative COVID test last night,
Yes.
and feels like I'm finally out of the woodwork here, and so it's been great. I mean, you know, my nose has definitely been suffering this entire time, like just test after test, and even just trying to procure the test. But it's all right. It's all right. We're all good here.
I'm glad that you're kind of out of the thick of it here on the other side of that ordeal. So I'm happy to hear it. Looking forward to talking a bunch of Apex with you here today, of course. Week 5 just happened. It was Excedrin Week. We had a ton of highlights from an action-packed week of games. So let's check out how everything went down. Happy Tuesday and welcome to Excedrin Week here at Series E Apex Legends.
It's going to be Excedrin Week here, Dia, and if there is any other team that has their eyes for that first place spot, it's 100% going to be Team Excedrin.
It really has. Their placements over the last couple of weeks have continued going up, and last week was one of their best so far, actually having the highest kills out of any squad on the open night. The open nights are what we're focusing on.
Reason to overextend into that truck.
Oh my lord, Dome going down though, that is very, very scary to see. If you're hoping for running late, they're trying to get just a little bit of loot outside, but they end up losing double O negative in the process. Full sending with the PK now. You know Excedrin were ready. As long as they can, they throw in that Nox gas grenade and actually get the bubble on the height, not giving them nearly as much safety as they would like. Both Valkyries flying for as long as they possibly can, but on the low ground, it is Splash that are coming out on top, and as Messiah comes back down, this three-way gun for a flesh, but it's not nearly enough as Blight needs to retreat back to get that bit of a shield swap. His teammates already fallen and eating a thermite. Splash could meet their end right now, and it looks like they just might. The thermite still putting in a difficult place, and Splash finally are out with Nerf as a two-man, the ones that could still clutch this game. They're going to have to run through the ring. We're in the top 3 squads, and let's see if Nerf can survive.
Still, they've managed to finish that up with so much KP. Now Nerf with just forceful, he gets taken down immediately. That was TBA holding the high ground too.
Now they're gonna jump
such a great positioning. What are they gonna do in this situation?
They just looks like they're gonna be able to clutch it out. Even Dome fighting two in the straight up duel here. It's an arenas match between these two squads, and Cruisin is from the top, laying in the damage as the rest of Excedrin slide in. As Phony goes down, it looks like the end of Vizio may be near. The PK shot secures another kill, and surprise, surprise, it's Cruisin coming back in to finish off the kills. It's a 1v1 between him and Fury, and he takes it with the wingman shot. Low ground, bubble goes down, and Splash are biding their time.
My goodness, look at the amount of damage Sung has put in to the Nox Grenade. The option coverage between the Nox Grenade and the barrel too. TBA is now fully sending it. They finally get Phoenix. It's just one member left from Splash, and TBA is looking well and alive as they take the final game, the second game.
Let's tune in to our Mobile 1 leaderboard to find out.
At the C, Team Splash, they break the tradition, and look by how much they won by here, Dia. 96 6 points in first place.
These guys were firing on all cylinders, and they were doing it all day. Amazing stuff from Splash and Vicky. Amazing stuff from you. It was wonderful to work with you here on Esports Arena.
And I'm looking forward to all of the fun. So let's get things started. Series E, Apex Legends. It's Excedrin week, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
Top of them, Nerf taking that rooftop once again. It's Esports Arena and mad scramble here, fighting on the ledges, trying their best to ledge guard, but now it looks like they might actually just get knocked out. Team Nerf poking their heads out. We were talking about having all of that extra utility. Our team's playing this one so passively until the end. Renegades are knocked out. It's the final 3 squads remaining as Esports Arena are just left to duplex here. He gets taken out, and now TBA with the 2v2, I believe, up against Nerf, and the 2v1 ults.
Team Liquid pops out as well. They're going to get dropped by C9. The scans coming through. Looks like this is going to be C9 versus Exet in the final circle right here. As it looks like, no, it's going to be Nocturnal too involved. So there's going to be 3 squads still remaining, and Nocturnal is going to go and put a little bit of damper into the C9 plant.
Oh no, it's all up to Stay Naughty here. Left in a 1v3. You saw Exet just biding their time, waiting. As they do get that knock onto Albralele. It looked like it was just a prayer res coming out, but ultimately...
What is the play here for Designful? He can dash ultimate basically anywhere that he wants to try to get the angle that he needs.
Tether onto TSM. As soon as this bubble goes down, he can secure a kill at the very least for his team. And now here is Nerf pushing up. Verholst goes down. It's a 3v1 Nerf up against Designful, but they've instantly turned around and the turns almost falls, but Designful cannot fight into that 1v3 Nerf. They make their way into Lava Cycles. The CLG versus Exet fight over by Harvester right now, and it's gonna go to CLG this time. As both on top of ESA as they're trying to survive. You've got the big EMPs slowing them down as well. They're just spamming the doors, waiting for them to come out, and somehow 100 Thieves have lost out on their opportunity to try and at least get some knocks, maybe secure some kills. And now the Pittsburgh Knights, they don't want to allow these kills to get away from them, so they charge forward. They pick up a good number of them. Unru has made his way all the way over towards the platform somehow with the switcheroo. But here it is. It's the final 1v3. 100 Thieves versus the Knights. Knights with the 3v1 should be able to finish them off. They're still playing this one extremely cautiously, not giving up anything, not trying to make any mistakes here. And it will be the Knights that end up, and they can just pounce right on top of them. It's the last hurrah coming out from Renegades. Designful's pulling all the aggro, and it's Pow that gets the first knock. G2 left in a 2v3, but there's still a lot of damage on the other side. Renegades find so much time to get the bat off as they charge forward. The PK out, and now it's gentrifying going down. It's all up to this 1v1. Pow versus Resulta. Both of the Gibraltars up, and they're gonna hit the bat. Difference is, though, that Resulta has almost no HP behind it. Pow getting big connects. Now Resulta ends up winning the 1v1. Could have taken the win. Let's check in with the Mobile One leaderboard to see who ended up in first and second place tonight here for Series E Pro Night, and it is G2 with the last minute win to steal away first place.
Look how close that leaderboard is. What a job by all of our teams here. Exet was right there in the running, only 3 points off second, 10 points off first. Amazing performance from Team Intel, Team Esports, 100 Thieves with a lot of these final zones. Just a great day of Apex, great night of Apex here for our Pro Night, and just setting us up perfectly for the ALGS Split 1 playoffs this weekend.
All right, everybody, that was everything we got to see from the action here in Excedrin Week. A lot to pick apart there, Jamerson. We can start at the top with our winners. Of course, Splash coming out, the first team to unseat Vizio from their open night throne on Tuesday night. How surprised were you that they came out and really kind of dominated start to finish? Not necessarily as many game wins as we see from a Vizio, but just fragging out from front to back on Tuesday night.
It's definitely surprising. Tom and I were talking about it on the Pro Night that that That's a big outlier performance because it was a 5-game sets for that Tuesday night open night, and they almost scored 100 points in 5 games. That's something that's almost unheard of. Like, it typically takes that 6-game mark for teams to be able to hit that, but for Splash to be able to do it was something that I don't think any of us were actually expecting. But I mean, it seems like they've got something going with the newest edition, right? They had just changed up their roster, brought in Messiah, and they're looking for the better for it, I'll be honest.
Definitely, and I was impressed. We'll definitely pull apart more of our thoughts on Splash here in a little bit, but of course, yes, they do take first place, and I think you're right to mention that it is even more impressive when you talk about only 5 games and still being right up against that 100-point threshold. Vizio hasn't even been able to do that necessarily as consistently with full 6-game sets where they're winning 3 or 4 games a night. So that is a very impressive and definitely an outlier standout performance there for Splash. Then we jump into Pro Night, and we get, interestingly enough, our second week in a row of a 1-2, G2, and Nerf trend, which is interesting. And I've harken back to the start of Season 3 a little bit because that was when we saw G2 just dominating, right? I think they won 3 of the first 4 Pro Nights at the start of Season 3, and now as we get ready for the ALGS playoffs, it seems like G2 rounding back into form at the right time as they have been dominant the last 2 Wednesday nights.
Yeah, you can never ever count out G2. I mean, they'll have their off days, right? And they were always a team that's kind of had their high highs and their low lows, but like their low lows are always eclipsed by their incredible highs, which is why everyone always has their name in their mouth. You cannot leave them out of contention for top 3 whenever it comes to North American squads, just because they are so amazingly consistent. I mean, we had a lot of data coming out in the Apex scene about like how controller actually fares. Someone did some intelligent learning stuff with how controller players actually fare in the Pro League, and they say that it's not as dominant in the bubble fights and stuff like that, and that's understandable. But the fact that G2, like, they're not just about the bubble fighting anymore. They're not the old Amos's Solafide that we knew at the beginning of Series E, who were taking fights left and right. We're just consistently on the kill feed at every stage of the game. Now they're playing a bit smarter. They've definitely learned to tone down like the aggression that they've had in the past, and I think the biggest thing that's kind of the only thing that's really hindering them right now is kind of their macro calling, and so that's still something that needs to be refined a bit for them. But the fact that they're on this upward trend, that they've been able to take these back-to-back wins in Pro Night, is a really good sign going into this weekend's games. Yeah, very impressive showing from them, and I think hitting their stride once again at the right time, because as you mentioned, playoffs do kick off this weekend, so very important for them to be trending in the right direction as we get to that point. I do want to pull up our overall Series E leaderboard right now to just check the state of all of our partner teams here 5 weeks into the season. So we're going to pull this up for everybody. Obviously, the conversation through the start of the season has been a lot of Vizio, and rightly so. They won 4 open nights in a row. You have earned that spot in the conversation. But we have seen the first dramatic shift in these standings, because not only did Splash have that incredible performance on Tuesday night, but it catapulted them from last place up into 3rd. Now, the caveat you have to give is, as I mentioned a week ago, the gap in points between 2nd and 6th was not large back then. It is still not that big now, but still Splash not only jumping up into 3rd, but are now just 2 points behind Excedrin for 2nd place. Yeah, I mean, it's so telling when you look at Vizio, right? They have twice the point lead over Excedrin that Excedrin have over Razor. So it's you can see how clearly they are the favorite. They have like maybe slowed down a little bit in the last 2 weeks, but it happens when you have that amazing consistent 3-week start where they're scoring over like 120, 130 points or something every week. That wasn't an average that we saw out of our season 1 champions of Team Intel. Team Intel were averaging close to what, like 114 or 110, I think, per week in season 3 of Series E. So Vizio like started off really strong. I think they can definitely bounce back. I think maybe preparations and trying some new things to get some last minute practice before heading into the Pro League split Finals this weekend might have punished them a little bit. Teams also trying some new things. Like the game state, like Tom and I talk about it all the time. The game state is always weird because, especially for Pro Night, it was a mixed bag of teams that had some things to lose, right? Had some things that they were definitely trying to play for in terms of like positioning for the Pro League this weekend, and some other teams had absolutely nothing to lose. And so like when we were seeing the 50-50s taking place and how the lobby was playing, it was completely different than I think what we would normally expect. Going back like maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that was a bit similar to what we should be seeing out of our teams when it comes to kind of landing and kind of contesting and everything settling in that regard. So I think Team Vizio, this might just be the one outlier week, but it's crazy because when you think about it, like their worst performance was a 25-point night, and I believe that was last night. So I mean, that's not even bad. Like a 25-point night in the Pro League ends up with you maybe in the top 10. Maybe you secure like one placement point for yourself in the Pro League. So it's not really honestly that bad.
Yeah, and they finished, I think, what was it, 4th place on Tuesday with, I think, 45 points. So still, you want to talk about an outlier week. Oh, you're still putting up those, over 100-point averages the weeks prior. You have that one down week where you still put 70 points on the board. You're still in the right place, and I imagine we will see Vizio round back into form very quickly. I'm, of course, curious to see what they do in playoffs this weekend. I do want to dig a little deeper into the few of the partnered teams and kind of which way we think they're trending right now. So I want to play a little buy or sell with you right now, Jamerson. I want to talk first about Splash. Of course, we highlighted they had that big performance on Tuesday night, 96 points in only 5 games as well. Of course, they're now competing with Messiah, formerly of Team Nerf, now taking that 3rd spot away after they dropped Dracos recently. I'm curious, are you buying or selling on Team Splash right now? Do you think Tuesday was an outlier, or is that maybe something we can expect more often from Splash?
It's so difficult. I think for Splash, I'm still going to have to go with sell.
Okay.
If I'm going to have to take a position here, even though they look great, when that one night, it's an open night though, right? And an open night, like, sure, you can dominate and be able to pick up the almost 100 points there, and that's fantastic. And they look better with the latest pickup, but the thing is that they haven't remained consistent. I don't know if there's going to be enough time in the season. We're almost a third of the way through.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of time, but I feel like there's just so many things that are going to be changing up soon that I am not that confident in Splash to be able to continue this kind of momentum that they started off with this week.
I think you're making a lot of good points there. I would say I am, because of a lot of the reasons that you mentioned, I would say I'm a soft buy. I really like Messiah, and I think he fits into this roster well. And I like a lot of the stuff that I saw from Splash. And also, you have to mention when you talk about, at least specifically in Series E and trying to succeed in Series E, Open Night is extremely important. And we haven't really seen Vizio do a ton on Wednesday nights, and they have largely built their lead off of their open night success. And I would say, I think to a certain extent, this kind of success from Splash is repeatable on open nights, and that could be a key to closing that gap with Vizio. So I would say I am a soft buy. I honestly agree with you on almost every point you made, and I think it's not going to be an easy road ahead, but I think Splash has an opportunity to do it. So we'll have to see which way they continue to go. The next team I want to talk about is Team Intel. This is a squad that we've mentioned quite a few times through the early part of the season. They are another squad with a roster change as Cody is no longer with the team anymore. They had a good 45-point showing at one point this week, but they've now dropped out of the top 3, and it really feels like we have not had any standout showings from them so far this season. What are your thoughts on Intel?
So with Team Intel, I mean, with the original roster when we saw in the qualifiers when they had muffins and such, like Tom and I both had really high expectations for the squad with so many roster changes, right? Bringing Mooney as well and then losing out on Cody now. Like it's not the same roster that we saw before. The same roster I would have still had faith in. I felt like there would have been a bounce back kind of chance with them, but this is a largely untested roster for me. I don't really have the kind of faith that I had before, even despite like the middling performances coming out from them at the beginning. So I'm just gonna have to go with sell on Intel.
I'm a big sell as well, honestly. And I wasn't even that high on this roster coming into the season. And I think the point that you make there with the changes, this is definitely a very different roster from the one that we saw in qualifiers. I am out on Intel. And especially the fact that even through the first few weeks of the season, we weren't really seeing standout performances that made me go, oh, okay, I like what I'm seeing here compared to people like, Excedrin. I think I was seeing a lot of good things from them early, and it was why I was confident that they were going to continue to build on the foundations they had. Haven't seen that from Intel. I'm selling everything I got in Intel right now, so I don't think they're heading in the right direction. Last team that I do want to talk about, the other squad that's had some big hallmark performances over the last couple of weeks, and it's Nerf. Of course, as we already mentioned, back-to-back second-place finishes on Pro Nights behind G2. Are you finally buying on a team here, Jamerson?
So yeah, I mean, this is one of the rosters that kind of remained stable. They did have a swap up, right? I think they have started to figure out kind of the timing in their fights and a bit more, and I am a little bit more hopeful for them actually. So this is, I guess, going to be a soft buy for me for Team Excedrin. I mean, Team Excedrin throughout the early weeks, they were kind of also middle of the road every single night. Nothing really great coming out from them, but they are starting to show some signs of improvement. We're seeing a lot more fighting out of them. Their edge play is looking definitely better than it did at the beginning of the season. And so I am definitely, wait, what were we talking about again?
We were talking about Nerf. I think
Nerf,
you were
oh
making Nerf. I think you were.
Yeah.
It sounded like you were making Nerf points. You just said Excedrin, so I'm with you.
No. I was looking at Excedrin on my screen, but then I was considering Nerf. Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, I was making Excedrin points, but let's talk about Nerf points. So Nerf points, I think one of the great things for Nerf right now is that in Series E, they're not getting contested as hard as they were, right? When we were going over at Lava Siphon. And so when we see the last 2 weeks, when they're not being as contested as hard, they're performing a lot better. So this is a squad that I think can definitely improve. So Nerf is actually a buy for me.
I'm a big buy as well. I love what I've seen from Nerf the past couple of weeks. You made the point earlier about Splash that, open nights aren't necessarily as determinant of a team's skill overall as when you're playing with all the big boys on Wednesday nights. And I think while Nerf has not had those standout performances on Tuesday, I would say that they should be able to translate the success that they have found on Wednesday nights back to Tuesday nights and start building up some points. They still have some work to do. I completely agree with you. But if they can continue to get those uncontested drops, I think they're looking really nice. So I'm a big buyer on Team Nerf. Now, as we get ready for Week 6, I want to hammer out now just a specific prediction. Last week, I was keeping my eyes on Excedrin and Nerf, of course, going into Excedrin week, and it seemed like, continuing on the trend of what we saw from Nerf last Wednesday, they obviously were able to repeat it here. Is there a team that you specifically have your eye on going into Week 6?
Going into Week 6, I am definitely looking forward to Excedrin. I think they really did show something in the last 2 weeks that they were starting to improve and really finding their footing. And I think one of the things that's really punishing Excedrin is just that they've been, running like I believe 2 separate rosters so far for like what Kimchi Lee wants to do in the Pro League, and they just kind of like had to bounce back from a really tough loss in the relegation tournament. But I think now with a renewed focus to try and improve with this roster to go into the next challenger circuit, they definitely have like bigger goals, right? They have that one goal. Once again, they got to go through challenger circuit. They've got to make sure they can play in the qualifying kind of lobbies and also in the Pro League lobbies here and in the open nights. So I really do have faith in the leader capabilities, like the leadership qualities that Tim Lee has been kind of working on as the IGL for his squad. So I think Excedrin is definitely the squad to look out for now.
I like Excedrin as well. I think you make a lot of great points there about Kimchi. I think he has that entire team working like a well-oiled machine right now. So I like Excedrin. I have my eye specifically, though, on Splash. We already talked about their open night. Can they repeat it? I want to see if they can. And I don't necessarily need to see them put up another 96 points, but I would at the very least like to see them get, 85 to 100 points collectively over the next week and have another respectable showing on open night. If they can do that, I'm buying more into this roster. I want to see if that, Tuesday night was less of a flash in the pan and more something we can expect from the team. So I'll definitely have my eyes on Splash. We are going to finish our Apex segment talking about something we've already mentioned a couple of times on the show, and that's the Algs Playoffs. Those kick off this weekend. The 20 best teams from Split 1 of the Algs Pro League will be competing in playoffs. A ton of big names. Of course, NRG, Sentinels, and Team Esports Arena rounded out the top 3 at the end of Split 1. I'm curious, Jamerson, to hear from you. What are your kind of expectations going into this weekend for the playoffs?
I mean, for this weekend, because we do have the format change, right? Like where match point setting is going to be super important like that. It does kind of change the dynamic for everything. I mean, I think everything does indicate towards probably it's going to be an NRG win because they're the team that has shown the most that they can take the W's, right? It's not just about getting the 50 points. It's also about getting the W's. And like the teams that do struggle with it right now have been Sentinels, have been Esports Arena with their for Esports Arena in particular with the change up, right? Since they ended up losing out on Verhulst, they haven't been consistent in being able to get finishes and being able to get that first place. So that's why it's kind of like a huge red flag for me that I don't have as much faith in the Esports Arena team that started off the season. Because when they started off the season, they were just so damn good. And then we saw in the last 2 weeks or in the last 2 days of play for them, those were the worst two matches or evenings of matches for them. So maybe there's still a world for them because they're still playing consistent. If they can hit 50 points by game 4, I think there is a pretty big chance for them to take the win. And I think they should be able to hit 50 points by game number 4 with how they usually play. For Sentinels, it's all about like how well do they end up bragging out. Again, Sentinels is another squad I think also kind of struggles on being able to get the W's, and they're one of those teams that are again in kind of like an outlier when it comes to scoring, right? Usually we're looking at a 60-40 or 55-45 split in terms of your placement points and your kill points and your overall scores. And Sentinels definitely pick up a lot more on the kill points side. And it hasn't been the plus 12s for them that have really boosted them up in the lobbies. For NRG, though, I mean, NRG are just, they're kind of that 50-50 actually when it comes to like splits and points. They get both placement and kill points. They're amazingly consistent with it, and again, they show off time and time and again that they're able to get the W's. But I think right now, even though we're talking about the top 3, the top 4 is also really going to be important. G2 is in that 4th place position. Like we said, there's huge momentum for them. I think this is one of those seasons where the gun meta definitely works out into their favor right now. One of the things that people don't really talk about with G2 is just that when we consider their drop, they get Thermal Station, and Thermal Station is, you have to admit, it's almost a quarter of the map. And when you have a quarter of the map, that means you have a 25% chance of like securing yourself a world drop. And what's in the world drops? You got things like the G7 Scout, you got things like the Kraber, things that like G2 can really utilize well. And so I think right now the gun meta is incredibly favorable for G2 with how they play. So if they get their hands on the G7 Scout, of course, Designful is going to get himself on that wingman. It's going to be incredibly strong for them. I think G2 actually have like the strongest foot forward here going into this weekend's games.
Yeah, funnily enough, I actually couldn't agree with you more. I think NRG is the easy pick, and rightfully so. I think they have, not only did they very distinctly earn that first place spot at the end of Split 1, I think they are incredibly consistent, as you mentioned, and they should be the favorites going into this weekend. But G2 is the second team that I have my eye on. Obviously, we've already talked about them winning 2 weeks in a row on Pro Night. They're looking really strong right now, trending in the right direction. Of course, having control of that thermal station drop helps them out a lot. I think the really curious thing is that a team that has not seemingly come up in this conversation a lot, because I feel like I have not been impressed by them as of late, is TSM. And of course, when you talk about competitive Apex, the first squad that's going to come to mind almost every single time is TSM, is Imperial HAL. But it feels like, there was all of this conversation about when they picked up Verhulst that, oh, this is, going to complete the trio. Maybe it's going to take them a little while to adjust, but they were performing so well in streams when they started off, and they were trending in the right direction. But it just feels like maybe right now TSM is nowhere near as scary as we're used to them being.
So one of the things that I thought was like going to be incredibly strong was that like Verhulst should have been a like turnkey player for them, right? The way that he slotted in with Team Esports Arena, Team Intel was that like he was the silent fragger. You know, he was getting microed all the time by the rest of the members of Team Intel. They just told him, hey, you go over here, you do this thing, blah blah blah, do whatever you need to do. And then when we call you back, you come back. And he did. He was definitely a hellhound on a chain, right? Like they were able to like unleash him onto people whenever it happened. And I thought, you know, like Hal has a very similar kind of like playstyle where he wants to micromanage, right? When in terms of shot calling. But since the transition, I don't know what it is, but like Hal's kind of like gotten a soft hand when it comes to like IGLing, and it's completely different. Like it was all fraught with like, you know, constant disagreements and, you know, pushback on calls and stuff like that in the old TSM. And now Hal doesn't have that as much, you know, maybe some with reps, but for the most part, like without that third voice of like Snipe Down kind of like questioning a lot of Hal's calls and stuff like that, it's completely different. He doesn't have that same kind of pushback from Verhulst, and so I thought like TSM would kind of mold themselves into Team Intel more than anything else. You know, but now it's like Hal doesn't have that same, like Hal isn't shot calling the way that like Duplex and Skittlecakes do. Like it's crazy. Like they used to be so similar in how direct they were, how confrontational they were, and how aggressive they were in like making their calls, making their micro calls and stuff like that. And now Hal isn't quite the same shot caller. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's just kind of like afraid to like try, you know, like burn out Verhulst, because I mean they've already gone through 2 players, right, for TSM over the last 2 years. So maybe I don't know. TSM just definitely is not the same. They are not right now in my contention for top 4, top 3. I definitely agree with you there. I kind of worry about their performance when it comes to this weekend, but we'll see how they can fare. Maybe they've figured out their comms issue in the last 2 months.
We'll have to see. I think there are quite a few questions going into this weekend, and the players are going to answer them. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. That's going to do it for us here for Apex. Jamerson, always good to talk to you, my man. I'm glad you're feeling better and happy we were able to pick apart a lot of these different teams from Series E to the ALGS playoffs this weekend. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy watching the games this Sunday. I'm definitely going to be watching as well. Thanks so much for your time, my man.
All right, yeah, have a good one, man. Good luck, everyone out there in the Pro League. I hope you guys, you know, just show off the best of your abilities. It was a long split, and really, I just hope everyone has fun.
I could not agree more. That is my good friend Jamerson joining us here to talk some Apex. That's going to wrap that up. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, my friend Charles joining me. We're talking Guilty Gear Strive when we return.
Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on the plot and the scheme. The true side trademark is at the edge of your dreams. I'm talking. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. Your memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. Get the bars to the breaks. I'm talking one chance at it. So go for the goal. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Let's go. Excedrin.
I'm fading.
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
It's refreshing, refreshingly sweet, but without sugar, 0 calorie treat. They're all our top fresh flavored splash.
It's fruit freshing.
Welcome back, everybody. Yeso here with my good friend Charles, joining me to talk some Guilty Gear Strive. Happy Friday, my man. Good to see you again. How are we doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Honestly, great week of action. Just got to talk a lot with Jamerson about Apex. Really enjoyed the bracket last night for Guilty Gear. Of course, we're going to talk about it a little further here, but, you know, some fresh faces in there. Also, a result we have yet to see so far this season with one of our Series E pros coming out on top of the bracket. So that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. How'd you like casting it with James?
It was great. I mean, we had a variety of characters, and
Yep.
I mean, this, like you said before, this was the first time a Series E player was able to take it home, and I think it was pretty surprising too, not seeing like Adventure and Bean like in the later part. But I mean, it's just how volatile Guilty Gear is, and just with how stacked the brackets are, that's how it came out. And Razo now like stacking up these wins, had the big win on that, you know, the big East Coast tournament as well.
Yep.
So you know, bringing it home.
Yeah. Ton to talk about. Let's kick it off, though. Let's see how all the action went down last night. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Excedrin Week here at Series E Guilty Gear Strive. Again, we've got a big 16-man double Elim bracket that should be an absolute blast to watch, and all the players and the casters are ready to go. So let's kick off Excedrin Week here at Series E Guilty Gear Strive.
Two losers bracket.
What a take. Pick up this one, but Razo, I don't think gonna make it too easy here. Bouncing it off the backboard into the damage.
Goes for the gaping mark, gets a single hit. There's Eddie still back there. No, he's gone now. He has the positive meter bonus. Actually, he had the negative meter bonus. I'm sorry. Wrong direction, the arrows. Here we go, Chip. And now reset Eddie. So yes, just trying to chip him out right now, but he's run out of Eddie. Backs off, no, goes back in, tap, yes! I see it. UFC is still about to do combo, but he got some combo afterwards. Don't burst the bait. He's gonna burst. That's why he came in right next to him and goes for the throw. Smart option there from Razo, but it wasn't enough time to kill. But here we go. Chip damage is a threat. Caught him with the frame trap. Caught him with the frame trap. Damage here. Needs one more hit. BRC in there, but now. Oh, jump dust in the. Locking him down. Good block on the tap dust. Oh, yeah, was gonna lean thanks to the BRC. Gets the fireball through Eddie, through everybody else. Gets him with the jump dust. He should be able to get the wall splat and the victory off of this. Doesn't even need the wall.
And Johnson does have these really strong rounds, but he's never really able to close them out into games throughout these last like 4 games we've seen. It's not like Razo third round. This might be the change of pace we need to see for Johnson.
Did I say or did I not say that this was going to be a breaking game here? And it looks like this is going to be. Trying to get away, but again, thrown right back in there. Here we go. Razo just needs a tiny chunk left to become the Series E champion. I think this is going to be able to do it. It is, and Razo has taken week number 5 with 6 games to 1, coming from the losers bracket, fresh off of the Arc.
Really fun bracket we got to watch last night. And of course, as Charles already mentioned, you saw there, Razo coming out with the victory, bouncing back after losing to Jonathan Tene in winners finals, beats Hotashi, losers finals, comes out able to force the reset and take grands. Of course, as you already mentioned too, coming off of that Arc Revo East victory last weekend. So really just kind of a very big last 7 days from Razo, showing up strong last night. I do want to bring up pretty quickly here the top 8 from last night, and we'll just kind of start going through some of the matches that really stood out to us last night. And there you can see it on your screen right now. Just at first blush, as we kind of work our way through the bracket here, what really stood out to you last night, Charles?
For me, my favorite match by far was winners finals. That was down to the wire. It was a nail biter. It was really fun to watch. Both players were playing so well in the winners finals, but to me that was like my favorite set to watch. Hotashi's loser run was also fun to watch as well, but Razo was able to shut him down in another Game 5 losers finals. That was probably my second favorite set to watch of the night. But look at all these Game 5s, even in the semifinals as well. Solstice, really stepping it up. I believe this is Solstice highest placement throughout the Series E, so really big breakthrough, and on Excedrin week, so plot armor on point right there. But yeah, Solstice really showed up. The Ramlethal was very fun to watch, very clean.
Yeah, very, very good night from Solstice. Of course, finishing in 4th place and going up against Hotashi and still making that set go the distance. Still falls to Hotashi, but that is, nothing to sneeze at, taking Hotashi to 5 games there. And you want to talk about a loser's run. First of all, House of Bacon taking out Bean. Bean coming off of course, first place last week. That's a huge win for House of Bacon. And then you see Hotashi 3-1, and then back-to-back game 5s against Solstice and Razo. That is a very difficult loser's run, and Hotashi ends up finishing in 3rd, but continues to be the most consistent and best player we've seen in these Thursday night brackets.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even Stealthy and House of Bacon went to losers round 1, and they were both able to get all the way to the losers quarters pretty much, or maybe the round before losers quarter. But nonetheless, fantastic runs by them. And yeah, I mean, Solstice, you name it, Solstice, Hotashi. Hotashi has been showing incredible consistency. He has 2 Ws in terms of Series E, I believe, weeks 2 and 3. So Hotashi really showing up big at the Series E tournament, and they're extremely stacked. So being able to get these Ws, I believe he has the most Series E's wins, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's, as you mentioned, first place weeks 2 and 3, had a bit of a rough showing last week, but finishes again in 3rd place last night. So Hotashi has been very clearly, in terms of you want to look at placements, has been the best player so far in these Thursday night brackets. So well played on that front. And do want to mention, of course, it's something that, a storyline, kind of random fact that I've enjoyed following so far this season has been the number 1 seed curse that has been a bit rough for a lot of players. But Hotashi finally broke it, lost in round 2, but didn't lose in round 2, made it further, but ends up breaking that curse, getting all the way to 3rd place. So well played from him. We do have the overall standings right now for the Series E players. Of course, Razo taking sole possession of 1st place with that victory, and Jonathan Tene, who has also been the biggest story of Series E Guilty Gear so far in 2022. 2nd place finish. Of course, I would say going to be disappointed with the way things finished out, especially because he showed he can beat Razo with the performance in winners finals, but still, there's nothing to be that disappointed about coming in 2nd place this week.
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks pretty competitive now. The 2 spots that matter are 1 and 2. You're going to be able to keep your sponsor. So looks like 3 players kind of in competition for that. Shine was not able to show up yesterday because of a controller issue, but yeah, I mean it's looking pretty competitive. I mean 30 points separate from 1st to 3rd. So we'll see if that kind of shuffles around throughout the next weeks coming up, or maybe if one of the 4 through 5 or 4, 5, or 6 spots are going to be able to step it up and like really climb. You're going to have to stack up a lot of W's and a lot of 1st place to kind of make that jump. But yeah, you never know. We've seen how volatile these brackets can be with how stacked they are.
Definitely. I think the most interesting thing to me when I look at this bracket is seeing Idiosyncrasy down at 35 points. With how strong I feel like Idiosyncrasy started the season and looked really, really good in week 1, I had really high expectations of Idiosyncrasy. And granted, it is still very early in the season. We've only just finished week 5, so there's still a lot of Guilty Gear to play. But I would say I'm surprised that we haven't seen as many top 6 placings from Idiosyncrasy as I expected based on the way he kicked off the season.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, even when all the players were playing for the sponsors as well, right? Idiosyncrasy was just, hit the nail on the coffin every time against the opponents. It was just, guns blazing. But now kind of on the tail end of things, and Idiosyncrasy kind of kicking things back up. 4th place finish definitely has to be a confidence booster. Went Game 5 with Hotashi as well. So definitely going to be a factor moving forward. But man, I got to say that 1st place really solidifying Razo in the first place, even here in the leaderboards, right? And the Razo that we saw in the grand finals rather than winners finals definitely seemed like a different Razo, right?
It definitely did. And I know you mentioned that you wanted to, the winners finals was your favorite set of the night, and we talked this morning, you wanted to kind of pick apart a little more, specifically Game 5. So we're going to pull up some replays here and just kind of really go through front to back that Game 5 that we saw between Razo and Jonathan Tene in winners finals from last night. So we're going to pull this up on the screen. And Charles, let's just go through it and tell me what really stands out to you from this set.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing to me, it felt like Jonathan Tene was able to get out of the corner when need be. I mean, Zato trying to play out of the corner, you're pretty much relying on base game mechanics, right? So Jonathan was able to get out of those situations. There was, I mean, especially when you get into these tense situations, there was one like dropped combo, I forget which round it was, but it was a PRC and then something dropped for Razo, and that would have been it. I believe it was like this round or the round after, but and then right after that, Jonathan was able to get out of the corner. And even just the burst management as well. You see anytime Jonathan's in the corner or Razo wants to keep the corner pressure going, that's when the bursts are being used.
Yeah, it's really funny. I remember going back to the interview I did with Razo coming into the season, and Razo talking about trying to keep their turn in these matchups, and I think you really see it there in round 2. Razo not allowing Jonathan any real opening to get anything going. And now, of course, in round 3 of Game 5, and it was an incredibly tight finish.
Yeah, and Jonathan being able to defend against Razo's offense, like it is so hard to block Leo. So, I mean, just that alone with, the tools you have as Zato, especially with no burst or no yellow RC, it can be really rough. And I really want to point out, like, just Jonathan's, obviously the offense helped a lot, but the defense being able to survive those situations where Leo has the back turn and you got to block that standing low or just that overhead or even worry about the counter. But you look at this meter management, just keeping the pressure on, and I believe it ends with a 5 dusk as well. It just came down to the wire. You gotta avoid the 5 Ps, the 2 Ps. There's so much to respect there, but Jonathan clutching it out there with the tap dust.
Yeah, that was honestly, and both sets really fun, especially because we got just 2 different looks of that matchup, because of course Razo comes back after beating Hotashi, going to 5 games, and says, all right, things are different this time, Jonathan. You aren't going to get to take this win, and made quite the statement, I would say, in grand finals, taking down Jonathan there. So Razo looking really good, multiple players trending in the right direction right now, and I love to see that. So well played, and again, congratulations to Razo. Of course, as Charles mentioned at the top, our first Series E player to come out on top in first place in this Thursday night bracket. It's incredibly tough to do so. Look at the list of names that are coming out every single week. You got your Hotashis, your Punks, K7 Show-Offs, Diaphones, Adventure, Bean, a ton more. These are difficult brackets to win, so that is a huge win there for Razo, so well played there. I do want to get into some predictions here as we get ready to wrap up Guilty Gear going into next week. Of course, we talked a lot about Razo and Jonathan. Who do you have your eyes on going into week 6?
Definitely going to be Solstice, for sure. I think Solstice has been stepping it up. The Ramlethal looked really clean, and I mean, just I feel like the momentum off of just getting 4th here, definitely going to be a player that I'm watching out for next week.
I'm hoping to see Solstice continue that momentum for sure. My eyes are going to be on Idiosyncrasy. We talked about him a little bit earlier. Has dealt with some struggles and hasn't been performing, I would say, to the expectations that I had based on how he started the season.
Okay.
I know Idiosyncrasy is really good. I really enjoy watching his Nago. He's really, really fun to watch. So I'm going to have my eye on Idiosyncrasy to hopefully have a bounce back this next week. Try and, again, build the kind of momentum we've seen from Solstice able to do here this week. So definitely got my eyes on Idiosyncrasy going into week number 6. Charles, good to hang out with you, my friend. Any kind of final thoughts as we wrap up talking about Guilty Gear here today?
No, I mean, the past weeks have been such a blast to watch, so just stay tuned, and I've been enjoying whether I'm casting or whether I'm just watching on the sidelines. It's been a blast to watch, watching all these different players grow. You really see their play styles growing, even just like different confidence levels and stuff like that. And there's so many different Guilty Gear tournaments going on as well. So even like kind of carrying momentum from different tournaments, right? And still learning the game. We're so early into the meta game, right? All these characters getting developed. Zato kind of coming out of nowhere. And,
Yes.
you know, Ino being a really powerful force in the meta right now. Obviously there was some nerfs and buffs as well, but you know, we're also going to have a new character coming out this month, so a lot of fun stuff to look forward to for Guilty Gear.
Yeah, how long until we get to see a Happy Chaos in the bracket, do you think? Sooner?
Yeah, I really want to see Happy Chaos.
Okay.
You know, there's a ton of great players out there. Deb, of course, and Losso are the two Happy Chaoses that I've been seeing coming up in different tournaments, so would love to see them in these future brackets.
Okay, I'm definitely hoping for it as well. That's going to do it for Guilty Gear, so say goodbye to my friend Charles. We'll talk to him more next week for sure, but that's going to do it for Guilty Gear. We're going to go to another quick break. When we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit of Halo Infinite, and we will also announce our giveaway winner for Excedrin Week, so don't go anywhere.
Favorite just gets dwindled down to the United one.
I just have to point it out. Snakebite gonna come out on top, and now the damage has been done. Choo-choo's on their back.
The series to go the distance, and that means Optic Gaming needs to wake up. It appears that they've started to do so.
Welcome back, everybody. We're talking Halo Infinite to close out the show here today, and I'm just going to put it out there right now. I would like to formally welcome everybody to the C9 era of Halo Infinite dominance. C9, of course, if you watched the show last week, Tony and I really got into the weeds talking about why we feel like maybe some folks were underestimating that squad going into Raleigh in the start of the Halo Infinite competitive scene, and really how they have made a statement here at the start of this competitive circuit. They won Raleigh, they won the first two HCS Pro Series, and then last night they made it 3 HCS Pro Series wins in a row. They took out Optic Gaming 3-0 in Grand Finals, and I believe they only dropped a single map between quarterfinals to the end of the tournament. So C9 looking incredible right now. And I want to give a special shout out to our good friend Clutch. You've probably seen him on a lot of our Halo 5 Sunday shows. You see him a lot on many different Halo broadcasts these days. And he tweeted out again this week with Optic going into the Grand Finals, you know, hey, this is an easy Optic win. Book it right now. You don't need to like, reply, retweet, or whatever. And I'm just saying, I think the Cloud9 is, you know, probably in his DMs going, hey, check your PayPal or whatever, because Optic just could not get anything done really against Cloud9 last night. And it really feels like, you know, of course, we're going to have to wait and see what we see from Sentinels once the full roster is finally back together at the end of this month, and see if that changes the dynamic in any significant way. But as of right now, Cloud9 has come out, they have dominated, and they have taken over the Halo Infinite competitive scene so far. Again, 4 tournament wins in a row from Raleigh in the first 3 HCS Pro Series. Of course, they're getting prepared for Anaheim coming up next month, and it looks like they are going to be pretty easy favorites going into that event, and it seems like they may not even lose an event prior to it. We'll have to see, again, how things change up with Sentinels coming back, and if maybe that's finally the team that can take them down. But when you look at the other top squads, Optic, FaZe, and even G2 and others, it doesn't seem like anybody can really hold a candle to Cloud9 right now. The only one that it seems like maybe they can is E United. That is the squad that took that one map off of them between the quarterfinals and grands last night. But again, Cloud9 turned that series on a dime after losing the first map. So we'll have to see if maybe E United is that answer outside of Sentinels. So again, welcome to the C9 era here. They are dominant right now, and they're looking to take over. Do want to remind you folks, of course, Halo Infinite is a part of Series Recap because it is going to be a part of Series E very soon. We announced last week the schedule for Halo Infinite Series E, and you can see it up here right now. The qualifiers do kick off at the end of the month. January 31st and February 7th will be the 2 qualifier dates for Season 1 of Series E Halo Infinite, and then you can see the schedule for the entire season there over on the right side of your screen. If you need more information, if you want to sign up, if you need to know more about what's going on, head over to matcherino.com/ESA as well as esportsarena.com. Both of those sites will have all of the information you need, will allow you to sign up for the qualifiers. So make sure to do that ASAP. Of course, 2 teams will qualify. 2 full rosters of 4 will qualify for Season 1. It's going to be a very tight competition. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. Give me Halo back. I miss, we haven't done Halo Sundays in so long, and I miss it. I feel like I have a hole in my week. So I'm looking forward to the return of Halo very soon. So make sure clear out your calendars, make sure you're ready to go, whether you're playing, watching, hanging out with me, make sure you're ready because Halo Infinite Series E is coming very, very soon. Now that's going to wrap up all of our Halo talk, but of course I mentioned at the start of the show, we got this awesome giveaway for Excedrin Week, and I believe we've got our winner ready to go. So give me drum rolls in chat, whatever you want to do, give me some poggers, anything, but let's find out who our giveaway winner is. We're going to bring it up on the screen for you now. Connie, show me what you got, my friend. It's going to be Draxmus. Apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but at DRXMIS is the winner of our Excedrin Week giveaway. So congratulations. Thank you for entering. Thank you for watching the shows and hanging out with us this week. Of course, one of our staff will be in contact with you soon to make sure that you can get your care package from us and our friends at Excedrin. So thank you so much for entering, and congratulations there. That's going to do it, folks, for our show this week. We talked about a ton of different things. Of course, a packed week of Apex leading into the Algs Playoffs. That's going to be super fun. Another banger week of Guilty Gear. I think Thursday's bracket was fascinating. The big result for Razzo there, coming out, chaining that win from Arc Revo into a win here in Series E is absolutely huge. I'm curious to see who responds to that next week. And of course, more dominance from Cloud9. The Cloud9 era has begun in Halo Infinite. The question is who's going to define the Series E Halo Infinite meta when we kick off qualifiers at the end of this month. I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm looking forward to answering all of those questions, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, if you need more Series E action, we'll be back again next week. Apex on Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll have Guilty Gear Thursday, and I'll be back here for Series Recap once again next Friday if you missed any of the fun. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Yeso. It's been my pleasure to be your host again. For myself, the entire live broadcast crew, and everybody here at Esports Arena, have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again next time.